I mentioned that from the brain and from the spinal cord, we shoot out many of the nerves. So in the brain, we call them cranial nerves. Professor Zhang also mentioned the name of that, but today let's take a little bit closer look of these nerves. So you have vestibulocochlear nerve. One of you mentioned that in our hearing, right, that small movements is transducing mechanical energy to an electric signal from the neurons. And that one caused an action potential which is passed to the brain through vestibular cochlear nerve. Now, can you tell me, if this one goes wrong, what will happen? What will happen to a human being if this part is damaged or has a problem? Not able to keep balance. So we actually have a lot of disorders, dizziness, 头晕. 头晕 has many subtypes. Some of them are because that part is damaged. Because, very interestingly, our blood supply to that part, there's one single small blood vessel. Unfortunately, unlike other parts of the body, you have many blood vessels coming in to support it. If one is blocked, that's okay, right? But for that inner part, we have one final blood vessel to supply that. If that one has a problem, then this one, it will be damaged. Okay. We have, this slide is from Professor Zhang. So she listed the names of these nerves. If you look at the brain from the bottom up, if you flip that from the front to the back, you have olfactory nerve, optic nerve, ocular motor nerve, trochlear nerve, trigeminal nerve, abduct nerve, facial nerve, vestibulocochlear nerve, and glossopharyngeal nerve, vagus nerve, accessory nerve, and hypoglossal nerve. This is really nice. Being a Chinese spoken person, this is 10 times easier than the English spoken one. So, 儿歌, the 儿歌 goes, 一秀二视三动眼，四华五叉六外展，七面八听九舌咽，迷走复身舌下犬. It's really easy. So you will be tested on this one. Okay? This is so easy. Compared to 唐诗宋词, this is 10 times easier. All right? So just try to remember that. It's fun from the front to the back. Okay? I'll give the slides back to you guys, don't worry. Now, these nerves can be divided into several different characteristics. For example, we can see there are cranial nerves that are just sensory nerves. For example, 1, olfactory nerve, 2, optic nerve, and number 8, vestibulocochlear nerve. Those 3 sets of cranial nerves are basically pure sensory nerves. Okay. The second type is motor cranial nerves. Those are the ones to motor fibers. There's number 3, ocular motor nerve. There's number 4, trochlear nerve. There's number 6, abducent nerve. Number 11, accessory nerve. And number 12, hypoglossal nerve. The third type is interesting. In the same nerve, it combines both sensory and motor nerves. And those are, for example, number 5, trigeminal nerve, number 7, facial nerve, number 9, glossopharyngeal nerve, and number 10, vagus nerve. Okay. Now, in typical neurobiology in the medical school, we are required to remember all the beginning, the middle, the end, and all those information, which we think it will be probably too detailed for this class, since you are not a medical student group. But I think to show you at least once for your life, maybe you never will come back to that, it's probably warranted. So let's take a look at that. The sensory cranial nerves 1, 2, and 8, they have their cell bodies located in different neurons. One is from olfactory nerve, and the other one from ganglion or from cochlear ganglia. And they end in different places. They are responsible for different actions. The olfactory nerve probably, it's simple, it's for smell. The optic nerve is for vision. Okay, and the number 8, vestibular cochlear nerve, part of that is for equilibrium, part of that is for hearing. Okay, so the equilibrium is maintained by 3 sets of semicircular lymph tubes. It's X, Y, Z. And in that, it's filled with lymph liquids. With that, when you move your head, when you have a motion, the liquid inside will press against the cells, right? If you move forward, accelerate, then it will press much stronger to the back part of that tube. And that physical sense makes these cells brush against their neighbor cells, and then that's the action potential. Same thing. So you can imagine the ability to equilibrate our body posture and maintain it. It's all done by that. And if you think about those acrobats, 杂技运动员, or gymnastics, they turn so many times in the middle of the air and they land on their foot really, really precisely. So the way they can sense their spatial position is much more than ordinary people like you and me. For me, if I turn one around, I basically just fall on the ground, right? For them, they can have, how many turns, like 3 turns in the middle, and just do all these very, very incredible actions. Okay, so that's the sensory. Now, olfactory nerve, it connects to our nose. When our smell receptors have their function, it sends it to olfactory nerve and goes back. We have olfactory mucosa through a small opening, and then we have the olfactory bulb. Optic nerve, on the other hand, it's the easiest to understand. It's from the eyeball. Our photoreceptor cells, they synapse onto the secondary neurons and then to the optic nerves. Optic nerves goes all the way back. It's very interesting. Our eyeballs are at the front of the whole head, right? But our cortex area, which can make the integration and make sense of this information, is all the way in the back. So our optic nerve carries the information obtained from the retina and pass it on to the LGN all the way to the backside of our brain. Vestibulocochlear, I've shown you. We have several of them to innovate different parts of our body. Some are bigger ones, the other ones are very finite innervations to different sets of muscle. And the damage to these ones also causes different diseases. Oculomotor nerve is one that we all use too often, every day. We have 6 pairs of oculomotor nerve that moves our eyeball and changes its shape. Okay. Abducent nerve and accessory nerve I will pass. I mentioned that these cranial nerves, they innervate or sense from different areas in the face, in the head, but many times we have small damages to them, and that will cause clinical diseases. For example, this patient suffers from the injury to abducent nerve or the oculomotor paralysis. So the eyeballs are not sort of parallel to each other. Okay. Hypoglossal nerve innervates our tongue. In the mixed cranial nerve category, we have the trigeminal. It innervates and it also senses. We have our facial nerve. That's the one many times you can see people have facial nerve injuries. It goes from here. These are all wonderful drawings from facial nerve. Once it's damaged, you can see the 面瘫, what we call, right? Okay, next one is glossopharyngeal nerve. That's where they come from. Vagus nerve from here. Okay, so those are the 12 cranial nerves that innervates basically from here on. Okay, and they are very important for all of the movements in our upper area.